just you get to choose. Right? Like here's the scenario. The environment gives us something which can be perceived as negative, can be perceived as not working, can be perceived as problematic. The world's ending. But we get to choose to see it like that, or we get to choose to see it as an opportunity.
So clearly that it's my responsibility now to do that for other people. If I have information and, other people's success is my success and vice versa.
Because you know what? Like, the challenges or the roadblocks are the journey themselves.
There's no big things. It's all little things compounding on top of each other. Right, welcome to another episode of True Seekers. Have Coach John Zieve joining us today. Coach, welcome.
Coach, how are you?
So good. I hope you are today.
Yes, looking forward to it.
Yeah, we got a topic or two that we'd like to get to a deeper level of meaning, understanding, and value on, and that would be around coaching, of course. Why coaching? But this topic of purpose and finding meaning in what we do, it keeps coming up for me in my consciousness with a couple other people in my life, but also for myself. So would love for you to maybe frame today's conversation around those subjects if you could.
So purpose and meaning, boy, that resonates with me because I remember when I was in my college years, I went to University of Wisconsin, Madison, and I dropped out after my sophomore year because I felt like my purpose was defined prior to that as, well, I wanted to prove I could get straight A's. And I achieved the purpose. But once I achieved it, then there was nothing left. And I didn't have another goal. And that's when I realized, what is my purpose? And it was really an existential question. And I didn't know. And I was like depressed about it. And I retreated and I dropped out and I went to Colorado. I meditated. I was looking for my purpose. And I didn't find it. And then what happened to me is I consciously settled. Like I knew my purpose wasn't going to business school because I love psychology. I love philosophy. I love those classes. I loved actually writing. I took a drama class. It was a class where you review films and plays. So that's what I loved. And I knew I wasn't doing that by going to business school, but I didn't have an answer. So I just settled. I said, well, I got to have a job because I didn't like doing odd jobs. And that really haunted me because that same thing happened to me 20 years later. I set a new goal. It was going up the corporate ladder. VP of sales was my goal. I got there. The day I got there, guess what happened?
You quit and wanted something else.
I didn't quit, but my motivation was gone. I had no new goal, and it really impacted me. I became depressed. So having a purpose that's not finite, that's infinite, is what I've learned as a coach. And there's been some books written about the infinite game versus the finite game. And it's a great question to ask yourself, what game are you playing? Is it a finite game? And there's nothing wrong with that. Or is it an infinite game? And it's really good to know the answer to that. Because if you're playing a finite game, you might be disappointed when you achieve what you're looking for.
So what's the difference? What's the difference between a finite game and an infinite game?
A finite game is defined as there's a start and there's a finish and there's a goal. Like it could be money, it could be a title, it could be a CEO or whatever position you want to be. That's a finite game.
Okay.
It's easy to value, to measure it. Either I'm CEO or not, or either I'm making $400,000 a year or not. Infinite game, you can't define that way. It's more of what is your legacy? What are you here for? What matters most to you? You know, when you die, what do you want to be known for? You know, what is your gift? What do you want to give back to others? It's a much bigger discussion about a bigger, it's a bigger game, and you
Yeah.
can't define it.
So I love that you've shared some of your personal stories. So maybe share the progression of that as a coach. Do you feel like that has changed? So whereas you found yourself in that, you know, same thing happened 20 years later, you said, right? So you found yourself playing that finite game. How has that changed for you now?
Well, it's my game now is an infinite game, but what I had to, and so my game right now is to help as many people that I coach. It's basically helping as many people as possible get the benefit of coaching. That's my infinite game. And I want to do that by finding other coaches that have a similar vision that I have. I want to find 12 coaches, and all 12 of us have at least, you know, 10 to 20 clients. And that's the legacy I want to leave, is that we're all working together, plus, of course, coaches like you. But I really want to find coaches that have a calling to be a coach. And it's not about the money. It's a definitely calling. And it might be the, as Coach Dave says, the third act of their life. And that is the case for me. So I'm
Right.
turning 65 next month. I truly believe I'll be doing this when I'm 80.
Mm,
Okay, that's another 15 years. 15 years
yeah.
is not a long time, right? So that's my infinite game, is to help as many people as possible to get the benefits of coaching and to recruit other coaches to this cause. And so why coaching? That comes up then, right? Why coaching? Why does it help people? And I don't know how you answer that question, but I'd love to ask you that.
Yeah. Why coaching? Why would somebody invest in coaching? Why would somebody get a coach? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's for people who are yearning to take their success to the next level. And it's the same type of concept where, you know, a flame can't burn itself, a knife can't cut itself. Sometimes there's things that you can't see or are more easily seen with another perspective, or somebody holding that standard for you. And coaches are trained to do that. And that's maybe their greatest value, is being the thermostat and holding people to a level that we often know people are capable of before they themselves are aware that they're capable of. We do this every day, right? So we're breaking through belief systems and telling ourselves different stories, and our progress and our achievements are evolving every single day. And we're sharing that with our clientele, who are you know, getting access to us once a week, etc., through different types of connections.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I would also add that when you're entering into a coaching relationship, you're basically betting on yourself. You're investing in yourself, and something magical happens when you do that. That's why I think it's much better for, if someone's offering to pay for someone else to be coached. In fact, that happened to me today. I was called by a former contact that I've known for maybe 10, 15 years in my prior career. And he offered to help pay for coaching for his niece. And I said, you know what? I don't think that's necessarily best for the client, because they need to have skin in the game. They need to bet on themselves and invest in themselves. And if they can't see the value in doing it, they're really not going to get the benefit of coaching. So I think when someone does make that commitment, then the coach becomes this witness, a witness to their journey of asking the right questions to unlock their purpose. Because sometimes their purpose is hidden based on the foolish choices that we make. And you remember the conversations we've had about foolish choices?
Oh, yeah.
So those fool's choices sometimes prevent us from understanding what our purpose is. Do you have any examples of some fool's choices that you've run into either yourself or with clients that once they asked to kind of refuse that fool's choice, that they've gotten more clarity?
Yeah, it came up today actually with we were talking about strategizing, planning for the rest of 2022, but also with an eye on a vision for 2023. And what came out were some business goals and some revenue numbers, and wouldn't this be nice to have? And then we got to the point with meaning, like what would make that meaningful? The numbers are great, but that might be the version of the finite game, right? So we got to a point with what this person does professionally, could it be meaningful and they could earn a great living doing it at the same time? And there was a moment there where there was doubt. I was like, oh, I hadn't thought of that. So the fool's choice to me in that situation was like, what did he want? He wanted to earn a great living, and what he didn't want was to not have it be meaningful. Am I framing that right? Is that the fool's
Yeah,
choice?
no, I think that's a great example. And that's kind of what this topic is. It's about purpose and what prevents us from having clarity. So when I was 18 or 19 and I dropped out of college, I probably was making a fool's choice. And the fool's choice I probably made was I can't have meaning and purpose by studying business. That was the fool's choice I made. And of course you can have meaning and purpose in business. Of course you can, but I didn't think you could. And so had I, what I know now, going back to that 19-year-old self, I would say, what I would tell my brain is, I want to have meaning and purpose in everything I do. And I want to do it and be successful in the business world. And that's how I would refuse that fool's choice of it's the definition of fool's choice is it's one or the other. So I went off to Colorado to find it meditating on a stream, and I couldn't find it there. And then I came back and I said to myself, well, I'm going to settle. Well, I guess I'm not going to have purpose and meaning. That's a fool's choice.
Yeah.
Right?
That's not what I thought you were going to say. I thought you were going to maybe lament the fact that you didn't pursue more of like the arts or something that you actually had a passion for at that time.
Yeah, but here's the thing. If I would have said to myself when I was 19, I can have purpose and meaning in the business world, I just need to look for it. Then I would have had my eyes open for how can I explore my creative side in the business world, as opposed to thinking I need to take the path that my dad took or whatever. So there's more into it. There's more psychology as to, I actually was trying to fulfill my dad's expectations of me. That's another fool's choice, right? Why is that a fool's choice?
That's a fool's choice because you're doing what he wants instead of doing what you want. And could you have both?
Well, the fool's choice by definition is I can't be honest and keep a friend. So I felt that I couldn't be honest with myself and keep my dad's love if I was honest with him. But that's a fool's choice. Of course you can.
Right.
So again, these fool's choices are big deals, and we don't understand how they impact our physiology. But when you make a fool's choice, you feel guilt and shame. And when you feel guilt and shame, you end up feeling anxious. And then you go into fight or flight. And the minute you tell your brain that you refuse the fool's choice, it rewires your brain, and it actually sends like blood to the brain to solve the problem. And you say, no, I don't want that or that, I want both. And then in doing that, your physiology shifts and you get out of fight or flight, and that's where the clarity comes from. So it's really it's very valuable to be able to get coaching. That's why coaching is, you need to know the right questions to ask, and you probably don't until you have someone that's been doing this a long enough time. They can feel it. They can feel what the right questions are without judgment. That's the other thing about coaching. There's no judgment. A lot of people are scared about coaching because they think, well, what if I don't, do what I'm supposed to do? What if I don't do the homework? If you're paying, you're going to do the homework.
Yeah, that's a great point. No judgment. Yeah, it's a place where you can. I know Coach Nick refers to his coaching sessions as like a 1 week insurance policy, where no matter how you're feeling or doing or what your outlook is, you get to come here and be open, be yourself, and have this open dialogue with what you actually want, what's most important to you, and that recalibration, right? Because other things can steal your attention throughout the week or throughout that time period, but to come back and recalibrate what's most important every single time is that superpower.
Yeah, I totally agree.
All right, so not to jump around a little bit, but I want to go back to almost maybe the beginning of this conversation, just so I have a little bit more clarity with the finite game and the infinite game.
Yeah.
So you mentioned coaching, you're playing an infinite game with coaching, but I almost, this is my perception that you defined it almost in a finite way. Like I want this number of coaches and so is that part of it, or like help to clarify?
The infinite game that I intend to play is to leave a legacy of coaching as many people as possible that then tell other people about the value of coaching. The more people that pay for and receive the value of coaching, we're going to change the world. Like literally, we're going to all be doing what we think is the most important things for us. And it's going to make it, we're going to be happier. We're going to have less stress. We're going to make better decisions. And that impacts everyone around us, our families, our loved ones. Everyone feels that if we're doing what we want to do, we're getting the meaning and the purpose, playing that infinite game. So I don't know if I answered your question.
Yeah, well, it's kind of coming full circle too. So the more, coaches that you recruit and bring on, you said you wanted a team of 12 coaches. They're also finding the people who value coaching, right? They'll end up grabbing clients. And to your point, like if you're helping bring in the right coaches and then they're helping to bring in or on the right clients, then there's this ripple effect. Like you're saying, we're going to change the world that way.
Yeah. Because the idea of coaching is to live an abundant life, is to follow, go for your dreams, whatever those dreams are. And those dreams typically are, and they're not always infinite, but some of them are finite. But the better the dream, it's more infinite than finite.
The idea of coaching is to live an abundant life. Tell me more about that.
Go after whatever your heart's telling you to go after. Whatever you feel in your heart that whether you're going to serve a lot of people and help a lot of people, whatever that might be, that's an infinite game.
So if 18 to 19-year-old John Zieve had a coach, he would have had more clarity with his situation.
Absolutely. I most likely would not have dropped out of school. I wouldn't have spent 6 months, doing odd jobs. Like I did a dishwashing job at a hospital, and, because I was just confused and I was let down. I was depressed because I didn't know what that next thing was. But had I had a coach, I would have asked myself, are you believing in a fool's choice? Which is that you can't have purpose and meaning by continuing to go to college. And who knows, I might have changed majors, which would have been fine. But now looking back, you can find purpose and meaning in anything. You truly can. You just have to look for it.
So what would you say to somebody who's, maybe throws up some resistance to that, with like purpose and meaning comes from, if it's coming from the heart, it's something that you were born with or it's innate and you just have to find it, versus well, you can search for it and define it in any situation.
Yeah, well, again, it comes down to, are you in fight or flight? If someone's in fight or flight, they're not finding their purpose. Their brain is too busy in fight or flight. It's actually, the brain is turned off. You have no clarity.
In fight or flight, meaning that they're like anxious. What do you mean by that?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
They don't feel safe. That's the definition of, you feel threatened, you don't feel safe, which means you can't listen to your inner voice. You don't have the clarity. The only way to get the clarity of your purpose is to figure out what are those fool's choices that are causing your brain to shut down. You feel threatened. Once you can refuse those, and there might be several, then you'll get the clarity. It just comes. And you're not in fight or flight. You know it. You know when your body is in fight or flight. You feel anxious, right?
Absolutely.
How many of our clients feel anxious? Quite a few, right?
For people out there who might think that they're feeling this way, besides advice to get a coach, what might be some strategies or some techniques or some things that they can do to get to this place of clarity?
Well, they can talk to their body. And the question I would advise them to ask is, talk to your body like it's a person. Like, am I in fight or flight? Do I feel threatened? Your body will give you an answer, and you'll be shocked at how quickly your body answers. If you get a yes, I feel threatened, then listen and trust that, and seek someone. It doesn't have to be a coach. It could be a therapist, but seek some form of help so that you learn techniques and tools that you can get out of that fight or flight. And coaches are really, some coaches are really good at helping with that.
So getting out of fight or flight would be step number one, and that's where the magic happens.
Yeah, and once you learn how to do this for yourself, then it's just a matter of what other questions should you be asking yourself to get the clarity so you know what your purpose is.
As we wrap, I will share that with you, so that I'll add that onto my definition of why coaching. That's the infinite game for me, is you get clarity with something and it works and you're like, oh, this is awesome. I got, progress with this. What else can I apply this to? There's so much else that this works for, and I just have fun with it every single day. It's amazing.
Absolutely. So you can apply the same thing about relationships. What game are you playing? Are you playing an infinite game or a finite game? Finite games, you got to be careful.
Oh, yes.
Because that's where the expectations, like, oh, well, maybe this isn't the right one. No, it's about an infinite game. What is that infinite game you want to play with your spouse or your significant other? And if it's about spiritual growth, that's the right answer. If it's about money, security, that's a finite game.
Bookmark right there. That will be an episode for another time. I'd love to talk more about that. But bring us home. Any takeaways from today's conversation, new aha, or just a reminder of a principle that we talked about today?
For me, yeah, you helped me kind of go back to my child self and help me understand, what I was going through. And it was good. I liked it.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining.
Thanks for your help.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining this week's episode.
How about you? Any ahas for you?
Just a reminder of the purpose and the meaning. It was quite a transition for me to leave what I knew and was comfortable with in the sales world and business development to come and be a coach. And it's another affirmation / confirmation that I did it for the right reasons. That was me playing the infinite game. And there's reminders everywhere that I'm in the right place right now. So thank you for that.
Awesome.
All right,
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you very much. We'll see you next time.
Take care.
Thank you for watching another episode of Truth Seekers.
We appreciate your interaction. So please comment, like, subscribe to YouTube, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you want more, check out some of our links. Links to our masterclass, The Achiever's Mindset, and come join our LinkedIn group. And what do you want to see more of? Remember, we're here to share the simple secrets of successful. So help us do that. What do you want to see? What do you want to see more of? Thanks, and see you again next time.